Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. After discovering the existence of a mythological creature on his grandfather's farm, a young man and his cousins are assigned the mission of protecting the cub from the clutches of a hunter. Today we will recap the story of the movie, Chupa, from 2023. In 1996, a group of excavators is in a cave in Mexico investigating some ancient paintings. Suddenly, they are startled by a terrifying sound and begin to follow the tracks in an attempt to discover if there is a creature hiding inside. After finding a feather lying on the ground, one of the men runs to inform his superior of the discovery. Immediately, Quinn runs to the place where the baby chupacabra is and tries to capture it. However, it doesn't take long before his mother shows up to protect him. After pushing the invader away, the animal picks up its puppy and tries to escape, but ends up being hit by a shot fired by Quinn. Even with its wing injured, the creature continues on its mission to save the life of its son and runs quickly through the desert. The digger then chases the monster until he reaches a mountain. His companions appear soon after and soon realize that the creature has managed to escape. Looking at the ground, Quinn finds one of the animal's claws lying in the sand and decides to continue the hunt. It is dark and the animal crosses the road at high speed. At that moment, a vehicle approaches and ends up causing an accident, because the driver cannot brake in time. Injured and afraid that his cub will be captured, the animal decides to leave him hiding behind a bush while luring the humans away. Now the little one is on his own and will have to fight alone to survive. Until now, there was no concrete proof of the existence of chupacabras, but after this happened, this theory started to spread in many different countries. Alex is a 13-year-old boy of Mexican origins who was raised in the United States. He is constantly made fun of by his schoolmates, so he is always alone and focused on his video game. One day, when he gets home, the boy receives news from his mother, who says that Alex's grandfather is in Mexico waiting to meet him. The young man lost his father when he was still a child, and since then he has had no further connection with his family. Although he is not at all excited about the trip, Alex eventually accepts his mother's advice and goes to meet his late father's family. After getting off the plane, Alex is surprised by his grandfather, who is extremely happy and excited to see him. In the car on the way home, Chava is annoyed to notice that his grandson is more interested in his video game than in getting to know him and says that Alex is just like his father. Upon arriving at the farm, the young American meets his cousin, so Chava states that Memo and his sister have come from the city to spend the week with Alex. Memo quickly introduces the house to his cousin and shows him the place where he will sleep. While unpacking his bags, Alex hears music coming from outside and looks out the window to find out who is there. In this instant, the boy meets his cousin Luna, and the young girl shows that she is very happy to finally meet him. Hours later, after packing his bags, Alex is walking through the house when he is caught in a surprise attack by his cousin. He feels confused, as he doesn't know that style of fighting, so Luna puts a videotape to play on the TV. After watching the tape, Alex discovers that his grandfather was a great wrestling champion. He dueled against the greatest opponents of his time and never lost a battle. Chava was considered invincible until he faced El Chacal, a rogue fighter who threw him out of the ring. Due to the fall, Chava fractured his skull and was in a coma for almost a month. After that, he was never able to fight again. Just then, the children's grandfather appears and, after turning off the TV, invites Alex to visit the farm. They are walking through the barn when they spot a goat lying on the ground. Memo and Luna soon begin to speculate that the animal was attacked by a chupacabra, but Chava claims that this creature is nothing more than a legend. That night Alex is in bed when he hears a noise coming from his window. Startled, the boy goes to see what it is and is greatly relieved to discover that it is only a goat that has come for a visit. However, seconds later, the young man spots Chava sneaking out in the middle of the night and decides to follow him into the barn. Suddenly, a terrifying creature approaches and Alex cries out for his grandfather. It doesn't take long before Chava shows up, and the two young brothers arrive shortly thereafter. However, when they look into the bushes, they discover that what scared Alex was a small rabbit, and they begin to make fun of the boy. When everyone returns to the house, the baby chupacabra comes out from among the leaves and reveals itself. The next morning, when he wakes up, Alex comes across the animal and they both startle each other. The creature then escapes through the window, and Alex goes to look for it. He then spots his cousin, who invites him to set off some fires on the roof. While the pair is talking, Memo appears and reveals that his grandfather has disappeared. Immediately, the trio decides to go after him and Luna takes the car to look for him. The young woman knows that, now and then, Chava suffers some memory lapses and walks aimlessly around the farm. While the three cousins hit the road, a group of diggers investigate the last place where the chupacabra was seen, in an attempt to locate it. While scouring the road, Quinn finds a license plate and intends to investigate who it belongs to. Upon arriving in the city, the three youngsters are separated, and while Luna goes in search of her grandfather, Memo takes his cousin to taste the most diverse local foods. Alex is tasting some tacos when Luna shows up and informs him that her grandfather is not there. After discovering that he is eating brains, the boy starts spitting out the food and the trio leaves. When they are on their way home, they find the man walking next to a small goat and manage to convince him to return home. On the way, they come across the diggers, but manage to get on their way without being interrogated. When they get home, the family watches a news report in the newspaper about the appearance of chupacabras, but Chava decides to turn off the TV and once again claims that these creatures do not exist. As soon as his grandfather walks away, Alex tells Luna what happened the night before and claims to believe that Chava is hiding the chupacabras in the barn. Upon hearing this, the girl claims that the monster is nothing but a legend and Alex decides to go check it out. When he arrives there, the boy is confronted by a small cub, which is slowly walking towards him. In order to befriend the creature, Alex goes to the kitchen and steals a plate of chorizo from the refrigerator. However, when he offers the animal food, it runs away and Alex decides to follow it to its hiding place. Once there, the chupacabra hands a small box to the boy, who opens it and discovers that there is a dead rat inside. The cub believes that Alex will like the food, but the boy gently refuses the gift. Just then, a strong storm begins and the cub is frightened by the thunder, so Alex hugs him and affirms that he will take care of the little one. The next morning, Memo goes to the barn and finds his cousin sleeping there. Suddenly, a loud noise catches the boy's attention and Alex tries to prevent him from discovering the existence of the chupacabra. However, his plan goes awry when the cub decides to attack Memo, but Alex manages to reassure him. Minutes later, Luna enters the barn and becomes desperate when she sees the little monster. After the fright, the girl tries to convince Alex to get rid of the creature, but her cousin says that, from now on, he and his cousins will take care of the cub, which he decides to call by the name Chupa. Then Chava arrives on the scene and reveals that it was he who brought the cub to the farm. The man says that a few nights ago he was driving along the road when he accidentally ran over a creature. After the accident, the monster disappeared, but the next morning, when he returned to tow the car, he found Chupa hiding in a bush and decided to rescue him. Since then, his goal is to return the puppy to its family, but he has not been able to find any other member of his species. When the quartet returns home, Chava spots a vehicle approaching and quickly goes over to talk to the invaders. After getting out of the car, Quinn reports that he has found the license plate of the farmer's vehicle on the side of the road and asks his permission to search the place. However, Chava soon finds a way to expel him and assures his grandchildren that he will not allow anyone to hurt Chupa. When Quinn leaves, Alex goes to talk to the puppy, but the animal is very stressed and attacks him. Cautiously, the boy manages to reassure him, and uses a music box to attract the little one's attention. Then Memo appears and says that he will teach Chupa to fly. The boy then puts on his cape and climbs on the roof with his puppy. He then jumps onto a pile of hay and asks Chupa to do the same. Surprisingly, the chupacabra manages to fly, but it doesn't take long before he gets off balance and falls next to Memo. There are only a few days left before returning to the United States and Alex decides to enjoy more time with his grandfather. While watching one of Chava's old fights on TV, Alex discovers that his late father was also a fighter before he met his mother, but then dropped everything to live a great love. When Chava finishes recounting the great deeds of his late son, he realizes that Alex is eyeing his video game again and decides to snatch the device from the boy's hands. Now, to get his video game back, he will have to challenge his grandfather in a duel, which is hosted by Memo. Easily, Chava knocks the boy to the ground and immobilizes him. While Alex plans to break free, his grandfather advises him to vent all the anger he is feeling, until Memo announces the old man's victory. Furious, Alex attacks his grandfather even after the duel is over and the man ends up suffering a serious accident. Hours later, a doctor shows up to take care of him and Alex feels very bad to see that his grandfather is in bed because of him. After applying some medicine to relieve Chava's pain, the doctor hears a loud roar and becomes curious to know what it is. However, the children manage to convince him that there is nothing wrong and the man leaves. As soon as he gets into the car, the trio runs to check if Chupa is okay and spots Quinn pointing a gun at him. The evil man has invaded the farm and is willing to capture the creature at all costs. Believing that Alex is in danger, Chupa goes after the digger and the man manages to hit him with a tranquilizer dart. After this, the puppy faints and is completely helpless. Quinn then takes the opportunity to capture it and traps the animal in the trunk of his car. Desperate to save his friend, Alex runs to his grandfather's room and asks for his help. However, Chava is confused and can barely remember Chupa's existence. Therefore, Alex decides to use another strategy to get him to stand up. The boy says that El Chacal, Chava's greatest enemy, is invading the farm and needs to be stopped. After donning his wrestling costume, the man goes to meet his enemy determined to crush him, and Quinn is the one who pays the price. After knocking the evil man out with a kick to the chest, Chava and his grandchildren run to the car where Chupa is and Luna starts the vehicle. Quinn tries to stop them from escaping, but the family eventually manages to escape. The mission now is to find Chupa's relatives and bring him safely home. Alex tries to get his grandfather to remember the exact spot where he was in the car accident, but the man is still mentally confused. Suddenly, the baby Chupacabra starts making a strange noise and runs at high speed. The small group then decides to go after him and abandons the car on the road. By this time, Quinn has arranged a ride with his colleagues and arrives at the location where the vehicle was abandoned. Not knowing where they have gone, the group splits up, hoping they can still capture the Chupacabra. Meanwhile, Alex continues to follow Chupa through the desert and his family follows him. When he reaches the edge of a canyon, the little guy starts howling and Alex soon realizes that his family is nearby. Knowing that it is time to say goodbye, Alex hugs his friend and says that he will miss him very much. Although he is happy now that the puppy has found his family, the boy cries when he knows that he will never be able to see him again. After saying goodbye, the two best friends part, and Chupa crosses the bridge to follow his mother's trail. Suddenly, when the cub is already gone, a lioness approaches Alex and the boy is cornered. So he climbs the bridge to try to get away from the animal, but the creature chases him and the ducts connecting the bridge begin to collapse. Just then, his family members show up, and Chava attacks the feline. The man tries to push it away with his cape, until the lioness finally gives up devouring them and leaves. Chava's biggest concern at that moment is preventing Alex from losing his life by falling from that crushing height. When all the pipes collapse, the boy clings to the side of the duct and Chupa hears his desperate cries for help. Immediately, the puppy runs to help him and slowly walks towards Alex. Just then, the rest of the structure collapses and they both end up falling off the cliff. Just as the boy was about to hit the ground, Chupa manages to use his wings to stop his fall and flies back to the top of the canyon. Upon seeing his grandson is safe, Chava cannot contain his excitement and Alex thanks the puppy for saving his life. Chupa is wondering how to get back across the canyon to find his family when he is surprised by yet another attack from Quinn. When the animal passes out, the digger uses a stun gun to stop Alex and his family from getting close and prevent him, once again, from accomplishing his mission. Alex is furious as he sees the evil man walking away with Chupa in his arms. But his grandfather stops him from reacting to prevent the young man from getting hurt. The family's hands are tied as they spot Quinn putting the animal in his car and fleeing far away. What no one could have imagined, however, is that Chupa's mother was watching everything that happened and viciously attacks the criminal's vehicle. The creature lets out a terrifying roar at its enemy and it is not long before other Chupacabras appear to destroy Quinn's car. Desperate, the man abandons the vehicle with the puppy on his lap and tries to keep the predators at bay. However, his plan goes wrong when Chava comes up behind him and, with a single blow, manages to disarm him. Minutes later, when everyone is safe, Alex says goodbye to Chupa once again and the little one flies away with his mother, out of the sight of the humans. After accomplishing the great mission of helping the Chupacabra find his parents, the family returns to the farm. A few days have passed since this happened and Alex is about to take a flight back to the United States. Before her cousin leaves, Luna goes to say goodbye and gives him a tape containing recordings of numerous Mexican songs so that the boy can practice his Spanish. The pair then hug and Alex walks to the car with his grandfather. So far, Memo is missing, and Chava calls the boy to say goodbye to his cousin. As he does not answer the call, the duo decides to make their way to the airport, but when the trunk of the car is opened, Memo appears out of nowhere and makes a surprise attack on his cousin. However, for the first time, Alex manages to shake off the blows and emerges victorious from that battle. The boy cannot wait to share with his mother all the adventure he has lived and returns to the United States as a much more confident boy. Since arriving in the country, the young man has become proud of his roots and is determined not to allow anyone else to mock him for his nationality. Before boarding the plane, the boy says goodbye to his grandfather and finds out that he is leaving the hacienda to live in Mexico City with his daughter. In this way, the man will be able to better treat his disease, which has been causing him some memory loss. The flight is about to leave and Alex hands Chava his video game. The young man says that he no longer needs that device and says that he will miss his grandfather very much. When the plane takes off, the boy looks at the mask his father used to practice wrestling and feels grateful for the opportunity to know his origins. At that instant, he looks out the window and spots Chupa outside, as the little guy has gone to say goodbye to his friend one last time. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.